Gonzalez. I'm here with Representative Amber Mariano. I'm going to ask you some questions. So my first question for you is, what inspired you to seek elected office? I know that you were one of the youngest, if not the youngest, representative ever elected. So how has that inspired you?
Yeah. You know, I always wanted to run for office since I was a little kid. I said when I was 5 I wanted to be president. I don't want to be president anymore, but and I've been lucky. I grew up around politics. My dad's a county commissioner, so I've always grown up seeing the good side of it and the things you can do to help your community rather than, just seeing it on TV and how negative it looks sometimes. Yeah. So I always got to see the good side of it, and so I've always wanted to, but I was actually interning up here for a session, and I thought I would run for office much later in my life, and just the opportunity presented itself, and I figured, what did I have to lose? So I gave it a shot, and here I am.
And you won.
Yeah.
So you kind of touched on it, but what part of public service do you enjoy the most?
I love when a constituent will bring me an issue, or just, really anyone in the state that may not be the biggest issue that our state is facing, but to either them or a group of people, it's very important and really can be life-changing, and that you can work on policy to help correct that issue that sometimes will go unnoticed.
So what has been your greatest challenge as an elected official? Obviously, I'm sure that age was definitely a problem that people pointed out. And how did you overcome that challenge, or work to overcome that challenge? Yeah,
being young and being a woman is like the double whammy. So there's been challenges, but for the most part, I was lucky. I came in after Representative Jennifer Sullivan, and so she was elected when she was 23, and she did a really phenomenal job of making a great reputation for herself. So I got to come in after that, and I think because of her, I was taken more seriously than probably maybe she was in the beginning. And now we have many young women in the House too. So it's been a challenge, but the hardest part of this process is just learning how to navigate it and how to get bills passed. And I have bills that I've filed now for 6 years that I haven't got passed, and bills I get passed on my first time. So every year is a learning process, but it's been great.
Awesome. So kind of touching on sort of those bills, what accomplishment in your political career are you most proud of already?
So when I was first running for office, I was a student at UCF, and the issue I heard on campus all the time was regarding excess credit hours. And so students that were taking over 110% of their degree were getting charged double tuition, and they didn't realize until they got to that point that was going to happen. And specifically, you have students like engineering majors whose majors are so restrictive. You don't have electives, or at least free electives to take. Every single thing you're doing is counting towards your degree. And if you take a minor, or if you do like a leadership program that takes some credits, they would get to the end of their program and realize, oh, my last year I'm paying double tuition, and they had no idea.
Yeah, it's super common.
Yeah.
I have a couple friends in that boat all the time.
Yeah, so my biggest priority was getting that cap increase from 110% to 120%, and it took about 4 years to get it done, but I got it done. Awesome. And that's just one thing that, it's really important to those students that it affects, but beyond that, it's not going to make headlines, the issue. So I was really happy to be able to work on that and fix that.
That's awesome. I mean, that's something that I already came in contact with, so thank you for that. So part of the mission of the Institute of Politics at FSU is to promote civic engagement, civil discourse, stuff like this. So what do you see as the keys to moving society towards more civil political discussion, especially in the place we find ourselves today?
Yeah, it's tough. National politics is so divisive and nowadays. And so I would really love to see more people get involved on the state level, because, the bills that we pass here, 80-90% of them are passed unanimously on both sides. They're supported. Of course, you have issues that, fall down party lines, but I think looking at politics as a place to make policy, and looking at issues that we can actually solve, and encouraging anyone that they can get involved in the process and make a difference if they have a policy area that they are focused on and want to have something they want to change. I think that's important, and that's why what you guys are doing here is so great, because you're able to show those movements and show that you can be on either side of an issue and still get something done.
Awesome. So sort of kind of expanding on that, what advice would you give to college students looking to enter public service, finding themselves in your sort of position or some other kind of?
Yeah. My biggest tip is to volunteer on a campaign. and or intern up here if you can, if you're located in Tallahassee and you can do that. A lot of people are always looking for the first paid opportunity they can find, and those can be tough to find, just throwing your hat into the ring. But you'll be surprised if you volunteer on a campaign, even for a few weeks, and you're consistent and you show up and you do a good job. There's not many people that will give their time and volunteer and show that they really want to help. And that can open so many doors in the matter of weeks, months. By the time the election is over, there'll probably be a position for you, and that person that you're volunteering for will probably help you find that next job. So it's definitely, it's tough to volunteer sometimes when you have, a family to support and bills to pay. But if you can find the time, even just like on a Saturday morning to show up and knock on doors and help candidates, I think that's the best way to first get your foot in the door.
Of course. Thank you for that. So as you look back on time in office, as a little short, but still moving on there, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself for your first day?
Just really prioritize the relationships and the friendships you're going to make, because, as you move on, that's the most important thing that you're going to be able to get out of this job. And whether that's your relationships with your constituents or other members and staff up here too, building those relationships in the beginning will help you move those policy issues across the finish line. So I think that's probably what I would tell myself.
So for my final question, what makes you most optimistic about the future of politics? Everything you've seen?
I think there's been a big wave of young people getting involved, and I think that's critical for many years. And term limits definitely help with that, because of term limits, we can have new people coming in all the time, and so that helps recruit younger people to run for office. And I think, it's great that we have diversity of people in office, and that includes age. And I think having, our generation, Gen Z, millennials represented in the legislature is something that's going to really help move us forward.